Could the way you pay for college be changing? I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Local Edition. With me this hour is United States Congressman Joe Sestak. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good to be here, Jill.
You recently voted for the Student Aid and Fiscal Responsibility Act. This did pass the House. It moves over to the Senate. Talk to us a little bit about how this act would work for people attending college.
Absolutely. This bill actually came out of my committee, the Education and Labor Committee, that I fought to get on. Because the cost here in America, in Pennsylvania, of trying to go to college is skyrocketing. In fact, we in Pennsylvania are the 5th most expensive state in order to go to a public university. And if we do nothing, over 4 million American youth will not go to college by 2022. So what this bill does, it says, you know, we should not give government money for loans to a middleman and have them then earn a subsidy for giving it to youth to go to college. We're cutting out the middleman and saving $87 billion.
So how does that savings happen? Because the government is still going to back these loans, is that correct?
Yeah, actually we are. We're still going to give them out as loans, and there'll be 2.5% additional interest over Treasury rate paid back by the student. But we're going to give them to the student directly. And so you cut out that middleman, and what that permits us with these savings is to actually have more loans available. For example, Perkins loans, upwards of $6 billion for the lower income, but also Pell Grants, as much as $40 billion. We are going to increase the Pell Grants that when I got to college was about $4,500. By 2019, it'll be up to almost $7,000 per student. That's how we're taking the monies and giving them an additional loans that will be paid back if it's a loan or a grant to youth.
How does the savings actually happen? How does this occur? If you're taking out the middleman, does this then in turn create another layer of government bureaucracy, or is there another way to administer the program to create these savings?
It does not create another bureaucracy. While the government will now be giving the loans directly, before it had to work with a bank, it'll work directly with students. But we're still going to have the private lenders service the loans. We don't want to build a large bureaucracy. We want them to collect the payments and give them to us. But by not having them work with students directly, as I said, we save over $80 billion. In fact, $10 billion of that we're going to give to pay off the national debt. So what we do is recognize that our long-term economic viability is going to depend upon an educated workforce, both the community college, technical colleges, and four-year colleges. And that's what this is intended to do, to ensure that our nation, which can't be prosperous without an educated workforce, remains so.
For anyone that currently has an outstanding student loan, they're working to pay it down, would this impact them? Not
necessarily. You can always go back to see if you can renegotiate loans, but this is really meant for the next group, beginning in June of 2010, next year.
Is that enough time to get a program like this up and running and really kind of switch gears in terms of the government's role?
In fact, I have already been working with the Department of Education to set up in October where all the colleges, and we're going to use many of them to work directly with the students with the government, are being educated in how to do this. This is something the government has already been doing, giving loans, but via middleman. Now we'll be doing more directly in concert with colleges and community colleges. When
we talk about some of the goals of this act, you mentioned Pell Grants, you mentioned Perkins loans, so a variety of different programs, but I want to specifically ask you about community colleges, because these have been playing a major role, particularly during this economic downturn, as people are looking to retool their careers.
Absolutely. What we've given is approximately about $10 billion in order to enhance the opportunities at community colleges in order to ensure that there's better placement of students that graduate. In fact, I have an article, amendment in, that we lose $10 billion a year that is a transfer tax students have to pay when they try to go from community college to a four-year college, because often four-year college won't take it. Now there'll be a service to let the student know that if you take this course, it will or won't be able to matriculate to a four-year college if you elect to do it. Our great artisans who made America great graduate from a community college. They are really instrumental to our future economic success.
All right, thank you so much. And this has moved through the House, and it is going over to the Senate. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We've been talking with United States Congressman Joe Sestak. I'm Jill Horner for Comcast Local Edition. What will a change in missile defense strategy mean for America? I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Local Edition. With me this hour is United States Congressman Joe Sestak. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good to be here, Jill.
When we talk about a change in strategy when it comes to missile defense, we're talking specifically about some things that are happening in portions of Europe, but we're also talking about the impact of relationships with countries like Russia and changing perceptions of what's happening in places like Iran. So talk to us a little bit about what this change in strategy actually means not only for us, but for our partners around the world.
Absolutely. The Bush administration was going to place a missile defense system that could, by 2017, protect America from a long-range missile from Iran. They were going to put it in Poland and in Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic. Russia protested, thinking it was aimed against Russia. What happens here is we're going to get more capability at less cost and have Russia help us, hopefully, work with Iran to stop producing or pursuing a nuclear weapons program. How do we do this? We say, wait a moment, we have about 80 Aegis Navy ships that already have a missile defense capability at sea. For 1/4 of the cost at most, they will have not only the same capability, but much more immediately be able to protect all of Europe, particularly southeastern Turkey and Europe that was not being protected by the Bush plan, and also Israel and our troops in the Middle East from our Aegis ships at much less cost. At the same time, we now can say to Russia, look, work with us on sanctions with Iran, if necessary, to say diplomatically, don't pursue a nuclear weapon, because they have a lot of influence there.
And part of this concern has been that Russian influence on potential sanctions against Iran. They have not supported certain sanctions in the past. Is this a matter of cost savings, or is it really about appeasing Russia?
It's about America's national security. We don't want Iran to pursue a nuclear program, but we also want missile defense at the least cost. We are going to get the latter without a question, because this Aegis capability is going to give us a capability in 2 years where it wouldn't be to 2017 against short and medium range weapons that the Bush plan would have given us. Number two, it now permits us to use our military in a political way by removing those unneeded weapon systems in the Czech and the Republic in Poland to say, now Russia, let's work together to have Iran cease its pursuit of nuclear weapons. Look, it isn't always by using your military in a war that you help our security. It's by being able to show in a political military way that we can enhance our security, as well as diplomatically, politically use that to have Russia do other things that bode more security for us.
What does this change in strategy actually mean for our relationship with countries like Poland? We've heard that part of the Polish government is not happy about this because they feel as if America is pulling out of a commitment that they made in order to protect the Polish people.
It's a wonderful question. We have invested in the governments of Poland and the Czech Republic a good relationship based upon putting a system there, because they want to be bound to us, because they're the former Warsaw Pact aligned with Russia, and they're worried about the bear. But however, it doesn't have to be based on a missile defense system. It can be based on other types of strong relationships with them. And so we need to recognize that the governments, we have to make sure we're working well with those two countries. But second, the people of Poland and the Czech Republic, and poll after poll said they didn't want this. So this is one where we just need to reassure them that their security is going to be the same. Ours is even going to be improved. And overall, it can be improved even more if we can get Russia to work with Iran to cease its pursuit of nuclear weapons.
We just have a short time left, but in thinking about the potential threats from Iran, what happens then if Iran is able to produce longer range missiles? Do we need to change strategy again?
Well, this plan that it has 4 phases. And so, according to the new intelligence estimate, which I went through in June, it's the short and the medium range missiles that will be here in the short term. That's why we want this out there. The Bush administration wasn't doing it. If it does come out, by the 4th phase, these same Aegis ships can give you that capability near that the Bush administrations would have on land.
Please come back and give us an update.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've been talking with United States Congressman Joe Sestak. I'm Jill Horner.